Alright, today I'm going to do something a little bit different. Instead of a flight video, I'm going to show you how to work with epoxy. The first thing we want to do is grab a scrap piece of foam. And I'm going to make myself some mixing and spreading tools. All we want to do is bevel the ends, so we've got a nice straight flat surface to mix and spread with. I find it handy just to make all mine up front so you don't have to stop while you're building a plane to make all your extras. I also find it handy if you make some a little bit thinner than others just to get into those tight spaces. Take my advice and work on baking paper, because there's nothing worse than getting epoxy all over your mum or your wife's kitchen table. Any cheap rubbish works, and you can even use waxed paper. Epoxy just doesn't like to stick to this stuff, which also makes it handy to make sure you don't glue your plane to the table. Epoxy comes in two parts. There's a resin and a hardener, and although you're supposed to mix them by weight, you can usually eyeball it and get close enough to do the job. Resist the temptation to put in more hardener to make it set faster. It'll actually make it set slower, and it won't give you near as good a bond when you're finished. Epoxy needs a good mix, but you need to avoid over mixing. Mixing it for too long means it's going to start setting on you, and you're not going to have nearly the amount of time you want to get it on your planes. You're going to be working with thick, gluggy epoxy that's just not going to stick. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to stick together a piece of foam that I've cut. Gives you some idea of what's going to happen with a nice flush fit. You don't need a lot of epoxy. All you need is a really thin smear. It's actually quite a heavy glue, so if you use too much, you start losing the weight benefit over something like hot glue. Just a nice thin coat. And when you're done, you just use your bevel tool to take off all the excess. When you're sticking something like this, if you don't feel like holding it, cover it with another sheet of baking paper. Stick something flat with a little bit of weight on it on the top, and come back a couple of minutes later. Off comes the baking paper. Epoxy hasn't stuck to it. Nice, clean, straight join. I'm going to mark the cut with a marker just so you can see where it is. And this is how strong that thin smear of epoxy is. While it's broken across the epoxy, it hasn't broken along the old line. Okay, epoxy's a bit of messing around, and I can understand a lot of people don't like it for that reason. But in the end, it's one of the lightest, strongest and most vibration resistant glues that you can use on your Scratchbuilt Parkflyers. This plane was assembled with epoxy and has been treated like this for over 9 months. It's had its share of complimentary hard landings, and not one seam on the plane has let go. It's not the glue for everyone, but it's certainly got its advantages.